Two.
It started.
Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Bhyashto Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Hari Gaurav Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Manojavam Maruta Tulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vadatmajam Vanarayutham Mukhyam Sriramadutam Shirasa Namami Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmaja Purato Marutiryasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. Hare Krishna, I'm assuming you can all hear me clearly.
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right, so we're going to continue after chapter 56. Today I'm going to cover a whole bunch of chapters. Only in chapter 62, we'll look at some particular verses, and I will post it on our WhatsApp group after we are done with this class. So you will have those verses to look at and appreciate them. So we know that Sri Ramachandra, Lakshmana, and Sita Devi are in Chitrakuta. Valmiki Rishi now pans the camera from Chitrakuta back towards Ayodhya. So we get a sense of what is going on in Ayodhya. And we enter Ayodhya along with Sumantra. So Sumantra bid farewell to Ramachandra at the bank of the Ganges River in Sringaverapuram. Ramachandra, Lakshmana and Sita crossed the river, and Sumantra stayed back and spent that night in the company of Guha and discussing the glory of these three, Sita, Rama, and Lakshmana. So he had a very, very lengthy, detailed Sri Ram Katha session. So much so that he didn't eat or sleep, just spent the whole night discussing with Guha. The next morning, he bade farewell and with a very difficult heart started going back towards Ayodhya, because it was the order of Lord Ramachandra that he should return to Ayodhya. But he was afraid that when he will enter Ayodhya without these three, the residents of Ayodhya and the residents of the palace, all of them would be shattered in grief, or by the grief of separation from Sri Ramachandra. Yet he has a service to carry, a duty to execute, so he goes back. And when he enters Ayodhya, he feels that he has entered a completely desolate, forsaken country where there is absolutely no life or any symptoms of life. People are alive, but they seem dead. The trees don't seem happy. The rivers are sad. The birds are not chirping. The animals are not moving here and there. They're just sitting in one place, seeming lifeless. The elephants don't seem to have their majesty that they usually would have and everybody is literally crying. There are no decorations outside people's doors. In Hindi, we call them rangoli, kolam, or whatever. It's not there. People have not washed the front yards. They haven't. There are no flags decorating the city. There are no musicians. There is no murmur. It's all just this very, very intense and melancholy silence. Just the way when someone is passed away, that whole household who's dealing with grief seems to be lifeless. They're not interested in eating. They're not interested in anything. And when they see Sumantra's empty chariot ride past, they all slap their chests and loudly cry, "Alas, alas, look at this. The fate of Ayodhya is now completely destroyed. Sumantra has returned without Sri Ramachandra. What is the purpose of our living? What is the purpose of our breathing if we cannot see him?" And they're all casting their glance on Sumantra, and Sumantra somehow keeps riding the chariot fast and enters the seven gates of Ayodhya, and finally reaches the eighth gate, which are the inner chambers of Dasharath Maharaj. And when Sumantra walks in with a sullen face that looks very tired of from crying, Dasharath Maharaj looks at him and knows that this has come to a point of no return. Ramachandra is not here. He's not coming back until 14 more years. And he looks at Sumantra and feels so heavily burdened with grief that he falls unconscious. Quickly, Kausalya Devi and Sumitra carry Dasharatha up and seat him down on his bed. He's still unconscious. And the entire residents of the palace, all the other 300 queens except Kaikeyi, they're all crying piteously. They've never seen, in the thousands of years that they've been married to Dasharatha, they've never seen the king in such a desolate condition. They've never seen the king lamenting about anything. Dasharatha was one of the best kings in the Ikshvaku dynasty, and he had ruled for 60,000 years. And there was never a point of such sadness that had enveloped not just him, but everybody. The whole city, the whole kingdom was enveloped in this sadness. So somehow Sumitra and Kausalya bring Dasharath Maharaj to external consciousness. And Dasharatha starts lamenting pitiably and crying at what he has done in a helpless manner. And he looks towards Kausalya Devi, hoping for some solace. But Kausalya, who herself is suffering from the angst and pain of separation from Ramachandra, lets Dasharatha have it. And generally Kausalya, who's very, very soft-spoken and never spoke against or anything that is in a way painful or harsh to Dasharath Maharaj, for the first time says, "What kind of a king and father have you been? You're heartless, and you don't have the grit that it takes to be a king. And now you are having this crying face, and now you are speaking all these words that don't befit you at all. Actually, you're not fit to be a man of character at all." So Dasharath Maharaj, who himself is burning in the pain of separation from Ramachandra, himself burning in his own anger at himself for his helplessness in the hands of Kaikeyi, and who's punishing himself for the dastardly act of sending Ramachandra to the forest because he is in this very intense, what we call dharma sankat, conundrum of what is the right thing to do, and is completely shattered as a father. And we get some sense of the attachment and love he has for Ramachandra, because when Vishwamitra tells him, let me have your son accompany me to the forest for 10 days, Dasharath Maharaj said no to Vishwamitra, who never said no to any sage, what to speak of Vishwamitra. He knows Vishwamitra's anger. He knows Vishwamitra's power. He knows Vishwamitra's exalted position, and that you never say no to the great sages. After promising, I will do anything, I'll give anything you ask for, he retracted his words. He withdrew his words of promise to Vishwamitra because he could not bear 10 days of absence of Ramachandra. And for that, he was willing to take Vishwamitra's anger and wrath upon himself. That Dasharatha has now to live for 14 years with the pain and the sorrow that he is the instrument, or he is the cause for Ramachandra to go away. So very, very painful. And to add insult to injury, as it is said, Kausalya is, instead of joining him in the sorrow, is chastising him. So that pain is so intense that Dasarath Maharaj folds his hands and walks up to Kausalya and begs for forgiveness. Now, in the modern context, we may not fully fathom and appreciate what that means. But if we go back to residing in Ayodhya in the old Vedic times, Treta Yuga, and that too in the 25th Yuga cycle, a king or a husband of his quality and stature to apologize to his wife would mean a very, very dramatic and drastic step down. It doesn't mean that husbands were not apologizing to their wives. It is those husbands who make mistakes. Dasarath Maharaj never committed a mistake per se. Okay, I'm going to hear about other mistakes, but where he has violated dharma, that is the most shameful mistake. And Dasarath Maharaj has never done it. And for a Vedic wife to hear words of apology from a husband is very uncommon. Of course, they hear when they make mistakes, but it's uncommon because people followed dharma very, very rigidly. So Dasharath Maharaj, who's the emperor of the world, with folded hands, comes to Kausalya and who's fallen on the ground crying, and it's a mixture of emotions. She's angry and she's sad. And he says, forgive me. Please forgive me for what I have caused you and caused all other residents of Ayodhya, this pain. So Kausalya Devi, who's holding her head in pain of heart, very quickly touches Dasharath Maharaj's feet and tells him, or she seeks his forgiveness for having spoken the way she did. And the word she says is, I shouldn't have spoken like this because actually I was myself in severe distress. And in my distress, I forgot what I should say and should not say. And the problem was that I myself was dealing with so much grief that I, I lost it. I lost uh, the frame of mind. I lost the discrimination by which what words I should speak. We find that when people are sad and or angry, they utter words that they later regret or they may not mean at that moment. So she tells Dasarath Maharaj uh, what lamentation or shoka does to a person. In Bhagavad Gita, we hear in 18th chapter, text 54, Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma. A person who is Brahma Bhuta is in the stage of understanding that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, Brahma Bhuta. Such a person is Prasanna, is always peaceful, happy. And there are other characteristics. Na shochati, na kankshati. Na shochati means they are not lamenting. They are not victims of lamentation. They're not victims of grief. Na kankshati means they're also not victims of false aspirations or false expectations. Akanksha. Samaha sarva bhuteshu. They treat all living beings equally. Madbhaktim labhate param. At that point is where their devotional life begins. Bhakti begins. Labhate. They achieve bhakti at that point. That means these are preconditions to be a bhakta or a bhaktin. For bhakti to take hold in the heart, for the seed of bhakti to fully germinate, one has to somehow overcome the victimization of lamentation or false hankering. However, Kausalya Devi speaks of what shoka does to a person. So she says, Shoko nashayate dhairyam. Shoko nashayate shrutam. Shoko nashayate sarvam. Nasti shoka sammo ripuhu. She says there is no enemy equal to lamentation. So some people may think my enemies are there, my enemies are here, they're outside. The enemy called lamentation here is one of the greatest enemies. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says lust is one's greatest enemy. Kausalya is saying lamentation is one of greatest enemies. Actually, there are 6 great enemies: lust, greed, envy, madness, pride, illusion, etc. So she says, Shoko nasti samaha ripuhu. There is no enemy equal to shoka or grief or lamentation. Why? Because shoka destroys these things. Nashayate dhairyam. It's the sense of sobriety. Dhairyam is patience or sobriety. That to pause and consider carefully is lost by lamentation. So people don't even think, they can't even consider, they lose their sobriety, and so they speak and do things that are very regrettable. Then shoko nashayate shrutam. So whatever good advice, whatever scriptural knowledge, whatever they have heard from their gurus and from shastras and from other places, nashayate. At the point of lamentation, all of this vanishes. So one has no good knowledge to act upon because that knowledge has been destroyed. Now, of course, knowledge cannot be destroyed. What it means is that knowledge cannot come at the time of help. The knowledge is not accessible at the time of help, time of need. Shoko nashyate shrutam. Shoko nashyate sarvam. Everything that a person possesses is destroyed by grief because they cannot see what all they have, what great assets and resources one has cannot be seen at the point of grief. In fact, they think that I'm so sad, I'm so much in lamentation that there is no point to living anymore. Then she says, Shakyam apatitah sushodhum, Shakyam apatitah shodhum prahare ripuhastatah. Shodhum apatitah shaknostum susukshma api na shakyate. So ripuhastah, by the hand of the enemy, if one is hit, prahare is one or a weapon. If suddenly one is not expecting and a enemy attacks, then the grief or the impact of that attack can be somehow managed. One can endure it, shakya. But she says, na shakyate, so it is not possible to shodhum, to endure the hit of destiny. So when if you have to read it in English, it says one can endure an unexpected blow from the enemy's hand or weapon, but one cannot endure grief that is presented by destiny. It's very difficult to endure that because it is, and what kind of thing it is? Sukshma, even the slightest grief. Sukshma means subtle or very small. So even the slightest grief one cannot tolerate or endure. One can endure even an enemy attacking them physically. So one may say, well, certain persons just don't have the ability to endure their grief. So Kaushalya says, no, this can attack even the greatest sannyasis. She says, dharmagya shatrum shatrumantopi. Dharmagyascha Shrutimantopi. Shrutimanta means one who's very, very well versed in Vedic knowledge. Shrutimanta api. Chinna dharma artha samshaya. They have been able to cut all the doubts about dharma and artha. Generally, we all have very, very many doubts about dharma and artha. How do I balance my work and spiritual life, my material and spiritual life? These are questions that come out. But even those experts who have been able to cut away all the doubts of dharma and artha, yatayo viraha, they must be, vira is the greatly powerful persons. Yatayaha means sannyasis. Those who have given up any sense of proprietorship to the world. That's why they're called sannyasi. Samyak nyasate. Nyasa means to give up. And samyak nyasate means completely give up. Therefore called sannyasi. And in Sanskrit, another word for sannyasi is yati. Therefore, sometimes the great sannyasis are called yatiraja. We call them Maharaja or Yatiraja, the greatest of sannyasis. She says, Yatayo Vira Muhyanti Shoka Sammudha Chetasaha. If their consciousness is allowed to be bewildered by Shoka, even the greatly learned person who technically has given up everything in this world will fall victim to lamentation. So and I will send you these verses, so be patient. As soon as we're done with the class, I'll send it to you. The question of where does lamentation come from? So we're not dealing with spiritual lamentation. We're going to deal with lamentation that we all as persons in this world experience. The cause for lamentation or sorrow or grief comes from the sense of loss. Whenever a person loses something or someone, that is what gives birth to grief. And the sense of loss comes from the sense of ownership. Ownership or belongingness is more generalized. When I feel this person or this thing or anything in this world, either person or thing, when I think that they belong to me, then the fear of losing it or the actual act of losing it causes grief. Therefore, we find that this entire material world is filled with fear. Every person is a victim of fear, some sort of fear. Fear of loss of something or someone. And this sense of belonging in Ishopanishad, we hear as Isha Vasyam. Actually, everything belongs to and is sourced from the Supreme Personality. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. However, we think of ourselves as tiny Ishwaras because we think that we have a small, some people think larger, whatever our sense of extent of our control and domination is, that sense of dominion or control exerts our sense of ownership. I own this gadget, I own this house, I own the things in this house, I own the relationships as a husband, as a father, as a brother, as a son, because these relationships give me a sense of belonging to other persons, and the sense of ownership gives me a sense of belonging to these things. And the fear that these will be taken away. Everybody knows somewhere that at some point these things will go away or we will go away, one of the two. Yet we tend to run away from that fear or distract ourselves or numb ourselves to that eventuality. And it's that eventuality that one is afraid of. So the more the fear, the greater the grip, the greater the stronghold of holding on to things and people. Now, it doesn't mean one should be completely reckless. And so last night we were hearing my spiritual master say, what kind of a grihastha would one be if he doesn't have a sense of love and affection for his family members? So that love and affection comes from the point of service and attachment from seeing them as belonging to Krishna, which is a high standard, no doubt. And when that high standard is there, obviously the sense of fear is less. But for most of us, or many of us, or all of us, it's mixed. It's mixed with both. To some degree, we have a sense that this is Krishna's and I'm just a caretaker. Along with that is our own sense of they are mine. So Kausalya is saying that as a mother, I lost the sense of higher learning and spoke without thinking and said these things. And this is true that as soon as there is a sense of, she says, sammudha chetaha, that one's consciousness is bewildered by the sense of loss owing to the false sense of belonging, then there is shoka. And that shoka will cover dharmagya, shruti, mantah, api. Chinna dharma artha samshayaha. Even if all their doubts about dharma and artha have been previously solved, still they will fall victim to shoka. And who am I? After all, I'm a woman that is now lamenting the loss of my son Ramachandra. Very, very important verses, especially if we are dealing with the sense of grief or impending grief. Then Kausalya, who by her name, Kushala, Kushala means auspiciousness or skill. And Kaushalya is one who is or gives rise to auspiciousness. She is giving us, or through her, Valmiki Rishi is giving us benedictions. And in this is in case actually a warning, not a warning as like that warning, but a caution that listen, if you give in to, if you become victim to, and you hold on to grief, then see what it can do to you. And so after speaking like that, Dasharat Maharaj again falls unconscious, sorry. And when he regains his consciousness, he tells Kausalya, I need to tell you a story. I'm now remembering something from my past. When I was a very young man, I was a prince, I would not yet become a king. I had learned the art of shooting at my target without seeing the target. I could shoot on the basis of sound. Wherever the sound came from, I was able to shoot. So one evening, the sun had just set, so it was dark, and I was on this hunting trip practicing this skill. And I heard the sound of water, gluk, 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 water, as if an elephant is in the river and drinking water. So I wanted to shoot to see how good my skill is. And in the darkness, just based on sound, I shot an arrow. And what he noticed is when he went to where that sound was coming from, he saw that there was no elephant. In fact, there was a young uh, teenager. All teenagers are young anyway. A teenager who whose heart had been pierced by Dasaratha's arrow, and he was bleeding. And by his side were pots of water that were spilling. So Dasarath Maharaj asked him, "Oh, young man, who are you?" So he said, "My name is Shravan Kumar, and I live not far from here, and I'm serving my blind parents from morning till night. I have not gone away into doing other things in life because my parents, both of them, have become blind due to age, and there is nobody to care for them. So I'm there taking care of all their needs. And every evening I come to collect fresh water for them to drink. And today, my father actually is very, very thirsty. And so I came to quickly collect water and go back. But alas, I will not be able to go back and quench my father's thirst." So he sees that, oh, this is seemingly like a Brahmana boy, and I've done a major mistake of killing a Brahmana. So he asked the boy, "What can I do for you? I am very, very sorry. I apologize. I did not hit you intentionally, but it happened accidentally. How can I repair this?" So the boy Shravan Kumar said, "You cannot repair it because I cannot live, but the pain that is there from your arrow is very intense. It's intolerable. So pull the arrow out. And when you pull the arrow out, my heart will completely bleed and I will die quickly. But more important is take this water and go down this path and please make sure that my father's thirst is quenched." So Dasharatha pulled out the arrow and the boy withered in pain and very quickly died. And Dasharath Maharaj took, Prince Dasharatha took water to the place where Shravan Kumar's parents were. When Shravan Kumar's father heard the rumbling of leaves and footsteps approaching, he thought his son had arrived and said, "Oh, my dear son, I've been waiting here for water and it took you so long today. I thought you were frolicking and playing in the river and maybe you forgot that I was thirsty." So Dasaratha said, "I'm sorry, I'm not your son. My name is Dasaratha, and by my mistake, uh, your son has died." And he told the entire story. This is the skill I have, and I thought it was an elephant, and I shot an arrow, and unfortunately, it hit your son, who was the one in the water, and I thought it was an elephant. And unfortunately, your son's not coming back. How can I set this right for you? The father said, "You cannot set it right. We are old people. We cannot see, we cannot live our life, we're not able to manage the basics. So we're going to leave our bodies in uh, separation, in the pain of separation from our son. Please don't think that you have killed a Brahmana. We're not Brahmanas, I'm Vaishya. Uh, However, uh, we're going to die. I'm going to leave our body, but I want you to know one thing, that whether done knowingly or unknowingly, certain acts have their consequences. And the consequence that you will face is you too will burn in the separation from your son, and that is how you will die. And at that time, Dasharath was a young prince and he was not even married. So the idea of having a child didn't even occur to him at that point. He just thought, oh, something this old man has said. He felt sad about it. But the many years passed. He's been a king and ruling for 60,000 years. So he's remembering something from 60,000 years ago. And he said, that curse that the old man gave me is now fructifying. And he's telling Kausalya, I had forgotten this entire episode. Now, when I ask myself, why am I suffering so badly and why Ramachandra has gone away from me, I understand that this is how fate and destiny are bringing back to me something that I had done. And I'm remembering the curse of that old man. And I have no other choice but to uh, slowly die in this fire of lamentation. So he calls Kausalya and calls Sumitra and tells them, please hold my hands. And in that severe distress, he falls asleep that night. Next morning, the bards who have the job of singing beautiful songs and glorifying the king and waking him up every day, they bring their instruments and they're very melodiously uh, playing their instruments and singing and clapping to wake up the king. But unfortunately, Dasarath Maharaj does not wake up. And so they think maybe he's in very deep sleep or he slept very late given the whole episode of his lamenting Ramachandra's absence. And so they keep playing their music and they try to then shake his body to wake him up. Unfortunately, Dasarath Maharaj does not wake up from his sleep because he is dead. And so they very quickly call all the queens. They all come rushing and all are crying piteously because the great king has passed away in the most ignoble way, out of sadness and lamentation or grief from being separated from his son, Sri Ramachandra. And that ends today's discussion. We've almost ended chapter 63. So let me see if you have any questions or comments on what we discussed, or the story, or anything before this, up until this point. Don't ask me from the future yet, but up until this point. Any thoughts or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I was thinking about, you said we have 6 enemies: pride, envy, greed. Where does lamentation fit? Does lamentation fit in the category of illusion?
It could be, but there are general 6 categories of enemies, but actually one has more than that. So grief can also be included in it. It comes from the sense of loss or a sense of false proprietorship. We don't have to fit it into the 6. They can be more than 6.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Like I heard like some people they get angry when some situations happen like that, and they try to blame Krishna for what happened to them. So how, like later they realize that it is just my karma or something. So how do we, is that like if somebody responds like that, is that okay, or they have to, not about somebody but in just to see the situation, how can that be taken? Is that okay to get angry at Krishna when something happens like that, or we should just
I mean, is it okay to blame anyone?
no.
Answer is no. People blame Krishna or God because they're trying to find an answer to why. That's usually the question. Why is this happening? And because someone cannot answer the why, then they have somebody, by blaming someone, they feel that the pain can be justified, or it has some place where it can go. So it's easier to blame somebody or something, circumstance, or someone else, or God himself, because it seems like God is unfair. Unfair that, oh, such a nice person, whether they died or they're in an accident or something. Why do good people have to be punished like this? So they cannot understand the sense of justice or fairness. So it's easier to blame.
So when we are in that, when we are with that kind of people, we have to just listen to them, or should we just not respond to their emotion?
I mean, it depends on who they are and your relationship with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Sachi Sutta Das.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, like, is there any significance of someone dying while they are sleeping? Is there any difference? Because I heard you said the Samaja left his body when he was sleeping. What is the difference between somebody dying during the sleep or when they're dying when they are awake?
No, I mean, when they're awake, they can remember the Lord. But Dasarath Maharaj remembered Lord Ramachandra at the point of death. When he was falling asleep, he was only uttering, Hey Rama, Hey Lakshmana, and Hey Sita. So the point is that at the point of death, Ante Narayana Smriti. And for Dasarath Maharaj, he was remembering the Supreme Lord, Sri Ramachandra.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Well, hold on. Sachisuta, are you okay
Yes.
with that? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Yes. Go ahead, Paramakaruna.
So, Prabhu, thank you for sharing that story of Shravan. So now it makes sense. It's the bona fide authorized story. So the name of Shravan is described in Ramayana as a devoted child of their parents, but never been described that he's a devoted to Rama or anything. It's just a character who assists the story of Ramayana. Nothing else is there is no other main role or character of Shravan in the Ramayana except this one, right, Prabhu?
No, it is very, very devoted to serving his parents. Shravan Kumar is considered like the epitome of serving parents, and that's why he's there in the Ramayana. And he is there to show us that Dasharatha, some many years ago, committed a unintended mistake, but even that unintended mistake carried a curse, and that curse came into fruition now.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Haribol.
Just on the topic of the Shoka. So while we are in this material world, the sense of loss, it's practically unavoidable sort of emotion.
Right.
In the case of Abhimanyu, when he died, what is the quality of emotion that Arjuna was going through? That's also a Shoka, right?
Yeah.
But it is considered to be fine because he was able to carry out his service of fighting after that. So he did not simply immerse into the grief or lamentation. And I've also heard from you the distinction between lamentation and regret. So what is the word for regret? Like if Shoka means lamentation? So I'm probably asking two questions.
Paschatapa.
Okay, I see.
Paschat means after.
So that is atonement.
Okay, same. Regret. Shoka is lamentation, not repenting. Generally, regret. You're asking for regret?
Yes.
I don't know if there's a specific word that I can remember right now. I can give it some thought of regret. But shoka generally, like bhaya. Bhaya is used as a catch-all word for discomfiture, anxiety, all of that. So there are different words for it, and they're used in different contexts. But bhaya is sort of a catch-all phrase. Here, shoka is used like that. Now, so let's go one step at a time. Just as grief is unavoidable, let's ask why grief is unavoidable. Because the sense of ownership is unavoidable in this world. There's a beautiful story that Prabhupada narrated, not story, but incident, that has stuck with me very much. So behind me, you see a branch of a tree and a peacock sitting there, right?
Yes.
So Prabhupada would be going on morning walks, and they would cross a particular way every day in the morning walk. And one day he stopped under a branch of a tree and pointed with his cane and asked, "What is this?" And everyone saw around, it was some bird droppings. So they didn't know if that's what he's asking about, and they were a little bewildered. And then one of the disciples said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, those are bird droppings. And then Prabhupada pointed and said, yes, but you see, there are many droppings here. So it means that the same bird is sitting here every day on this branch. And the bird is sitting on the same branch every day, or the same bird is sitting on this branch every day because the bird starts now thinking, this is my branch. So if a bird can have the sense of proprietorship in this world, then what to speak of you and me? Very quickly, and he said, very quickly, as soon as a person comes into this world and he sees things and people around him, he has the sense of mind. And the sense of mind is the greatest problem of every living being in this world. Aham mama iti. I have a problem of aham. I have a wrong sense of who I am, and I have a wrong sense of what is mine. Right? Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. And that is the issue. Now, after hearing Bhagavad Gita, after hearing Vedic knowledge, one may say, I become Nirahankara and Nirmamakara. Fine. But it's not so easy. You cannot become hard-hearted. So even the greatest persons like Arjuna and whoever, even Kausalya, are feeling the same because we are human beings. Emotions cannot be rid. You cannot be rid of emotions. Then Prabhupada said, if that's the case, then a stone is better yogi than anyone else because the stone has no emotions. The point is that we can have emotions. It's okay to emote, yet emote such a way that at some point you don't transcend, or you don't, not transcend, you don't cross over the boundaries of dharma. Arjuna got up and went back to the battlefield. Whoever else got up and did what they needed to do. Kausalya is getting up and gathering herself and saying, my dear king, please forgive me, I didn't mean. So she's very quickly reinstated herself in her position. That's important.
So, so I understand the relationship between the proprietorship and feeling this emotion of shoka. In the case of Arjuna, when he was going through that emotion, so was that part of the feeling ownership of Abhimanyu, or is it because of feeling separation that he has developed on an emotional level? So which
Same. You can't separate the two like that.
So
You
if
can't separate the two. He's a father. He's going through the emotions of a father, which are very rightful.
so that means it is okay to have that ownership if great personalities like Arjuna can.
Well, ownership, he's playing the role of a father, and a young boy, 16 years, just 16, was killed so brutally by the great generals who had ganged up on him and killed him. It was unfair. Oh, as a father, he's lamenting because he has come from him. Atmaja is called, right? One who has come from his body.
I mean,
So whether it is ownership, he's a father.
Right. So you were distinguishing between these two inner feeling. Like one is seeing everyone as belonging to Krishna versus seeing everyone as belonging to me, right? That's the key distinction that you were making.
Right.
And your point is that if we are seeing everyone and everything as belonging to Krishna, then shoka should technically not happen, right?
No,
But
shoka should happen because wherever you extend care, there is a sense of attachment. You cannot say no to it. Now, whether the attachment is Krishna-centered or not makes the difference. So where there is lamentation in both, but in the one where there is Krishna-centered, then the lamentation is of a different category, but there is still lamentation, there are still emotions. And the way one comes out of it is on the strength of relationship with Krishna. On this side, there is no strength of, because Krishna is absent.
Mhm.
That's the distinction.
Okay, so
Emotions are in both places.
yeah, so that's why I was saying that therefore Shoka is practically inevitable when we are going
Absolutely.
uh,
Sure.
either Krishna centered or not. That's the key. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just as a living entity is always bewildered by Maya, whether a devotee or not. It's which Maya that bewilders the devotee is the distinction. One who's not a devotee of the Lord is bewildered by Mahamaya. And one who's a devotee of the Lord is bewildered by Yoga Maya.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, just a quick thought here. You said Shravan means his father. He said that any activity, whether done intentionally or unintentionally, it has consequences. That says about a karma philosophy. That's how it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on the other hand, it is also a curse. So they are not brahmanas. And is that really a curse, or is it an event based on karma, or both?
Both. Both.
Okay, if it is both, then even one is not brahmana in those ages. If they curse, that will go true.
Yeah, they're called Dvijas. Dvija and Brahmana are not the same. All Brahmanas are Dvijas. All Dvijas are not Brahmanas. Because Dvija means second, twice born. And Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas go through the purificatory ceremony of Upanayana. Not only Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishyas also. So they are called Dvijas. But all Dvijas are not Brahmanas. All Brahmanas are Dvijas.
Yes, Prabhu, got it. So just a follow-up one. In that case, in this Ramayana, what we understand is the cause of this separation from Lord Ramachandra, Dashrath Maharaj is undergoing. One cause we see here, Shravan, pastime, other cause, Kaikeyi, association with Manthara, and probably it's again Krishna's plan. So it's multi-folded, Prabhu. Should we understand it that way?
Ramachandra's plan. Ramachandra's plan, you have to understand that, we all have to understand that in each of our lives, there are different things that need to come into our lives because of some past. Sri Ramachandra and Krishna or Krishna are very expert at using them to move the devotee through their life with them in the picture. If Krishna necessarily violated all the words of Dvijas and Brahmanas, then Krishna cannot be called Go Brahmana Hitayacha. So their words have to come true. While their words have to come true, his own intervention also has to come true. So he uses the different instances in a way that will all allow for one, his pastime to manifest, and for the devotees to move through the circumstances of their lives with him.
Got it, Prabhu. Thank you.
That's the expertise of the Lord.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. I was just, trying to think about this. Like on one end, we have Lord Ram, who, to fulfill his father's promise, left his parents as a duty, which resulted in Dashrath leaving his body.
Yeah.
And on the other end, we have Shravan Kumar, who, as a duty to his parents, gave up on his material aspiration and stayed back with his parents so his parents could live in peace.
Mm.
So if we were to like follow one of them when it comes to a particular situation, I know it could be dependent on the situation itself, right? But, you know, both of them are doing their duties, you know, according to what is probably fitting for the situation. So, I mean, who should we follow, I guess, is if we are, you know, dealing with a particular situation like that, where our, you know, duty towards, you know, our aspirations versus, you know, duty towards perhaps, you know, our parents and, you know, and spiritual master. So it's like, who is the right example for such situations, I guess?
Actually, both are right examples because both are doing the same thing. How they do it may seem different. So what's important is what's inside more than what's outside. Okay. So on the inside, Ramachandra and Shravan Kumar are not on two ends of the continuum. They're together. And I'll show you how. Of course, we follow Ramachandra, not Shravan Kumar. Ramachandra, the reason he went to the forest is to uphold the word of his father, because that is above his own happiness. And Shravan Kumar is also serving his father. So both are serving. One serves by staying with, one serves by going away. Both are serving. So what's important is the service attitude in following the dharma of serving, in this case, their fathers or their superiors. How it manifests can be different. In one case, it manifests like this. In one case, it manifests like that. And tomorrow, the circumstances can be even more different. So not the externals that are important, although they are, they're not, it's not that they're not important at all, but more important than the externals are the internals.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
And that's the part of having the guidance of the spiritual master and the other Vaishnavas who can make sure that our consciousness and heart moves to the position of service. How that manifests, then obviously can be different on the circumstances.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome.
That was helpful.
One can be very close to their father, let's say, or parents in a begrudging way. Not say it, but they're begrudging. But it's not service. One can be a little far away because of circumstances, but their heart is very connected to them with prayers and well wishes and making other arrangements for them, and they're very close to them. So it's not the physical distance, but it's the distance of the heart that matters.
Yeah.
But it's not that always the distance of the heart that matters. Sometimes you have to be close to them, depending on what the situation is.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Okay, anything else? One final question and then we'll wrap up. Okay, thank you very, very much. You have a wonderful rest of the week. Hopefully, we can remember these verses. And if we are in the position of lamenting for whatever sense of loss or distress we are in, may these words of Kaushalya, who is the mother of the Supreme Lord, come to our aid. And if any way we can help others feel some solace and comfort about how acting in grief can be detrimental to themselves, then may they come to their aid, such that at the end we all remember Sri Ramachandra, Sita Devi and Lakshmana. And until we meet again, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.